Welcome to RPG Book Club Longcast, a podcast where we play a little bitty bit of a biggie big video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
And I'm Maddie Grace Webben.
And today we'll be covering the second main quest of Final Fantasy XIII Lightning Returns. Scratch that and reverse it. And before we get to all of that, we will do a real quick, real easy top three this week. We're on a slight time crunch, so no top 10 philosophical communist movements for Maddie. But
that's a shame.
Our top.
That's easy. There are not 10 good ones. 2 or 3 tops.
But our top 3 is going to be outfits in Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII.
Oh, I thought we were doing the other one. Okay.
There wasn't another one.
Yeah, I marked the other one as a top 3 for the future.
Oh, okay. I was doing other stuff while I was noting the sorry. Okay, we'll do that next time then.
Yeah, that'll be a good one for next week.
So my number 3 is the beautiful formal dress you get this episode, Midnight Mauve or Mauve. I don't know how to pronounce that.
It's so good.
I love it. Number 3, because it looks terrible when you're in it and you're running around. Lightning is not walking properly for a formal dress.
That's a shame because I love the dress. The cutscene with the dress is the highlight of the week. And I was thinking that dress is so good. And there are 3 other dresses that all use the same model, just different color. You could go in and do the custom colors, change the colors. So you could have 3 of them all be the same dress and just not have the clothes changing mechanic. But since it's ugly, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, it just looks weird in motion in gameplay. I don't want to say in motion because it looks great in cutscenes, but in gameplay it looks weird. Number 2 is I believe it's called Quiet Guardian. It's a simple outfit that I acquired this week. It is blue. It has big shoulder pads. I'm putting a picture of it in chat.
Oh, was I? Because I have the list up. But yeah, it's really nice.
You know, it's funny. I feel medium about the look of that one, but I will say, as far as game mechanics go, actually, no, I don't feel good about it. It also looks great. Game mechanics goes, I'm even more ahead of y'all than I was last time because I've really just been obsessed with this game, which I guess I should stop doing that, but whatever. This does not stop being a great, mechanically, this is maybe the best fit in the game, at least for, not counting the ones that are like OP because of DLC or whatever. It's really good.
Yeah, I forget what it does, but I remember being like, ooh, I'm definitely using that.
It's physical and magical resistance 15%, which is
that's right.
And it has heavy guard lock. It's nothing super fancy. It's just a really good bread and butter one that I have yet to replace it with something else in my lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Number 1 for me is the suit that Maddie teased last week. Velvet Underground. Velvet Bouncer. It's great. It's beautiful.
It's so good. I'm not even into doing the whole wearing suits things as a girl, like the Finn suit wearing, but it just makes me want to. I'll do my 3. Wait, that was your 3, right?
Yeah, that was my 3.
Yeah. One of my 3 is also that. It's fantastic. My second one is White Mage. The stats are a bit whatever, but it's got the cutest pleated short white skirt. It's just like super, super, super good. Big fan of that one. And finally, there it is. Sam posted it in the chat, so we can all have a look at it. I have not used it in combat yet, but I'm just like, if you turn that a little bit, the normal human version of the whole outfit, not just the skirt, the regular human version of that fit, not you're a Final Fantasy character doing action sword shit version of that fit, I would wear all the fucking time. And then the third one has got to be the fucking Catgirl one. I have not used it. I will not use it. But the narrative how you get it and how Lightning is so annoyed and hates her and hates this whole fucking shit, and how Hope dunks on her like having to wear it or if you wear it, and also the fact that it is canonically a reference to the magical land of Eorzea and the what are they actually called?
Miqote?
Miqote.
The Miqote, or whatever that exists in that world, suggesting that I don't know, the famous world of Eorzea exists in FF13 land. This is never followed up on, of course. I love that. I think it's hilarious. There's a lot of skin showing fits in this game that are like something that Lightning wouldn't necessarily wear because of that. But this is way over and above and beyond, and I can't stop laughing every time I see it in my menu.
You should use your Miqote one because its locked abilities of Metagard level star and its magical attack are phenomenal. It's really
easily good.
Is like outclassed everything I have, including my DLC ones in attack power.
Yeah,
so
when I said earlier I don't use it, I was lying. I did use it a little bit, but I couldn't find a way to work it in with the type of gameplay that I've been doing. Maybe it could actually be the best option, but I wasn't able to make it jive with my loadout, so I don't use it. But yeah, everyone says on the internet that it's great. So
yeah. So my 3 are technically 4 because that's how it works. So I'm going to start my number 3. It's called Duelist. It is like a fencing outfit, and it's great. Love hot girls that wear pants. It's the best. I really like it. She looks super classy in it. I don't remember the gameplay. I haven't used it. I just I was doing the side quest where you have to buy all of the adornments, and so I just went to every single outfitter that I could fast travel to and bought everything, and this was one of them, and I really liked it. My number 2 is called Electronica. It is real cute, feisty club goer outfit. This
is silly.
It's very silly. I really
like the Fifth Element.
It is.
Sam,
it's the Fifth Element.
You're not playing on hard mode, right?
I am not. I am playing on easy mode, but I slightly shoulder surfed when my friend played through this, so that's where I first saw this one. I remember him using it and loving it, and then I brought up the
duelist one.
No, the yellow one. If the duelist one is hard mode, then I got a different one with pants.
We keep seeing that your version of the game seems a little bit different because it's on PC. Maybe they modify it slightly. Yeah. Anyway, I haven't seen Duelist. Holy shit, it's so good. That's my 4th favorite as well. Wow.
Yeah. I think I got Providence, which also is white with pants, and then I remembered wrong when I was looking at the.
Oh, that one's pretty good too.
Yeah, Providence is fine.
Yeah. So then my tied for first, because I couldn't pick, are Paladin and Nocturne. They're the exact same fit, but Nocturne is a really good purple, and Paladin is a really good white. And the Paladin was the first one that I got that I was like, I'm tired of looking like a shittier version of Yuna. So I'm going to stop using DLC and engage with the mechanics because I have to look this cool in battle. And so I have been, but they're really good. Also,
Nocturne is a really good fit.
It's really good. And for the record, every outfit I do, I put the dweeb glasses on Lightning because it's the best adornment. Like in every single game that has accessories and you can unlock just fucking square rimmed glasses, I'm putting it on every single outfit. That is, every other adornment is a silly adornment and is not worth it. But this one is high quality. That's why in all of my cutscenes, Kayam in Lost Odyssey, he wears dweeb glasses, which do not fit him whatsoever.
Didn't that make you learn skills faster or something?
I think so.
So it was like you never took it off?
Yeah.
For my Lightning, I do generally have her wearing glasses. Except with Velvet Bouncer, I've put her in giant sunglasses.
That's good.
So she's wearing like these giant shades, and she's got this purple suit. It's sort of a Prince vibe.
Oh, if you scroll up in host chat, Bernard put a screenshot of his Velvet Bouncer earlier today.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's some good.
You're looking kind of like that lightning in that fit looks kind of like another famous he/him lesbian in video games. That's right. I'm talking about Joker from Persona 5.
But speaking of jokes, Lightning says a lot of jokes this week. So let's talk about all the jokes that she says and also the rest of the plot that happens.
No. I swear I'll make you happy. Those were my own words. Who did I think I was fooling? I couldn't do a damn thing. You died centuries ago, and it still feels like yesterday. Not a day goes by when I don't think of you and how I couldn't save you. But I failed you. Like a fool, I'm just spinning my wheels while the world dies. Now, with everything ending, no one's gonna survive. Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy XIII, Part 3. Oh shit, okay, so Part 3 was originally subtitled The Social Democrat. By the time I got to the end, I realized that read doesn't actually work. So we're gonna say Part 3, Survivor's Guilt. There we go. All right. That was a really good subtitle for the first half of this. Anyway, the Windy City. An excited and bustling crowd of humanity mixes with somber, uncertain music as Snow gazes from his palace. Loud intercoms broadcast their message to the city. Due to large amounts of chaos at the palace, it is closed to the public.
I want the record to show that they are incredibly loud intercoms, and it was impossible to hear a single goddamn line of dialogue this entire fucking week. Because the intercoms would not fucking shut up.
I hope you like repeated like public service announcements, because you'll be hearing them for the next 5 hours of gameplay.
Yes.
Anyway, the city is on a limited lockdown or curfew. Sarah, says Snow, when I die, will I get to see you again? Not that I deserve it. He knows Lightning is coming. He taunts her to get the revenge she deserves for his failure. Lightning arrives at the train station and is immediately repulsed. So this is how Snow spends his time now? Headstrong, moral, pure Snow? A never tiring fighter for justice? Wasting away and partying? Hope says Snow is now the patron. He runs the whole town, especially, feasts and banquets. But lately, he's been holed up in his palace, ever since, well before Light showed up. Despite the evidence before her eyes, Lightning still struggles to believe that Snow, of all people, could have changed so much from the smiling, tenacious man she'd accepted as family. Quote, he believed in everyone, so everyone believed in him. That's me doing Lightning voice like Bernard did. It's not as good. Okay. But when you hear that, that's me trying to do Lightning voice. He believed in everyone.
Do the Lightning voice I did.
So everyone believed in him. But while she slept, he had to live 500 years of solitude, watching all hope crumble away. No man can stare into the darkness for long and survive with his soul intact. We gain control of Lightning, and Hope explains that due to the lockdown, we're going to have to find a way to sneak into the palace. Outside of the palace is the Augur's Quarter, a busy market with lots of traffic in and out of the palace. If we can get to the Augur's Quarter, shouldn't be hard to get into the palace. So we head that way.
You would think.
Yeah. So let's talk about Chicago, also known as Yusnan. It's a really dope-ass city. It's a good area. It's not as big as the other cities. It's a little easier to get your mind around. It is a straight line. You go towards the palace or away from it. It's a winding line, but there's really no other paths except for one. So the first area is a giant fast food market. sorry, fast? Why did I say that? A giant food market with lots of different restaurants. Now, mechanically, the restaurants are all the same thing. They're superfluous. You eat at the restaurant and it gives you HP. But it's very characterful that we have so many different kinds. Also, as I mentioned last week, it does play into some side quests, like the one where the guy wants to make his restaurant better. There is a central street with the usual game mechanical shops. New duds, weapons, synthesizing magic, blah, 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 blah. A guard stops Lightning. He's like, halt! I recognize your face. You're the one from all the wanted posters. Lightning is like, wow, you saw through my clever disguise. She's not wearing a disguise. Yeah, I'm here to kick Snow's ass. What are you going to do? Arrest me? So we go into combat and murder these guards. It's great. Afterward, we realize that guards are going to be all after us since the jig is up. But instead of like wearing a disguise or sneaking around, we're like, well, kicking guards' asses is going to throw them off and definitely be a general pain. Maybe it'll even draw out the patron. So why not just kick their asses? So from now on, this whole area will have random battles. Whole area, anywhere in the town, as opposed to in the previous city, only certain areas had battles. So the whole area, guards will just show up to fight you. It's a pretty easy fight, but actually pretty fun. It's easy in the sense that it's hard to die. But it's fun in the sense that it's actually kind of hard to beat quickly unless you really think about it and put some and sort of figure out how it works. It's you're always fighting one guard.
Not on easy mode.
Okay, well, you're always fighting one guard plus two Flanators, who are they cast heal spells, but they have a thing where they're most susceptible to it. A lot of enemies will get more easily staggered if you attack while they're doing a certain move. They're more easily staggered while casting heal spells. But they don't heal themselves. So if you just say, I'm going to kill this Flanator, well, then you're hitting him and the other Flanator is healing it, and eventually you'll kill it, but it's just whatever. So what you do is you hit one enemy, and then once the Flanator starts to heal that enemy, then you switch and hit that guy, and then you stagger, and it's dead in 2 seconds. It's a really fun little thingy, and you got to do it all a whole lot, and you get a pretty good bit of EP from it. It's not like the previous town where every battle is like 0.4 EP. So we kill a bunch of guards in general. And yeah, so from now on, after this point from now on, the loudspeakers are constantly on loop issuing a warning that Lightning's in town. And people need to do they need to do see something, say something. So we arrive at the Augur's Quarter, or rather we arrive at the entrance to the Augur's Quarter. Turns out only the wealthy are allowed in. You have to be really rich, and you got to have an ID. Lightning muses a little bit about how this seems lame and unjust. At no point in this game does Lightning ever say, like, not just that there's injustice and suffering in the world, but, like, why is there? Everyone's been immortal for 500 years. You'd think they'd figure out their shit. But turns out they just didn't. No one says that, but I'm constantly thinking it. Anyway, while we're exploring so anyway, we got to find another way to get in. While we're exploring the town, there are lots of tour guides around, all of which have different names and dialogue and vibes. It's kind of cool, actually. It's like happy tour guide, suspicious or not suspicious, sad tour guide, entertaining tour guide. Anyway, but there's one particular tour guide, the suspicious tour guide, I believe, who says he offers a very special tour for people who don't have credentials to get into the Augur's Quarter. Wink, wink. He's a one-man band type dude looking mad goofy. There's a lot of those around too, but they're not all tour guides. He knows that Lightning's the savior. He's like, yeah, I know who you are, and I also know why you're here. You want to go on my tour. He warns us that the tour route is dangerous. It starts all the way back in the industrial area. Basically, people climb up onto a monorail supply track via cranes and whatnot, and then you travel on the monorail to get to a spot with a beautiful view of the shows in the Augur's Quarter. I realized I forgot to mention the shows in the Augur's Quarter. So every night, there's a huge fucking crazy stage show in the Augur's Quarter, and the patron presides on his balcony of his palace and watches the show, and everyone else in the square on the ground watches it as well. But only the really rich get to go and see it, leaving the poor people outside the gate wondering, man, it sure sounds like they're having a fun time in there. Anyway, So you get a beautiful view of the quarter. So all these poorer people, tourists often, are paying a lot of money to go on this tour and watch from very far away from the monorail track the show. Or if they really want to, they can continue into the quarter itself. Though that's going to require passing through like chaos zones and monsters and stuff, and no refunds basically. So anyway, we buy a ticket for $2,000, which is really no big deal. And we learned that we need to meet the tour guide at 6 p.m. So at this point, after we get to 6 p.m., it's pretty much a straight shot to the end. There are points where you can step back and go do something else, but it's all just one fucking thing. So we have a pretty good, probably, depending on how you play this game, have a pretty good gap of time. What did y'all do to kill time in this period?
A whole bunch of side quests.
Yeah, what we can talk side quests specifically later, but what general area, or did you explore certain areas or find anything really cool or whatever?
Up until the one where you have to wait till 3 a.m. So the second waiting section, I just did ones in Yusnan. So I did all the Yusnan side quests, and then I was like, okay, things are great. I have plenty of time. Let me go and do it. And they're like, hey, you're not ready until 3. And it was like 8:30 for me because both you and Bernard were like, oh, I ran out of time. So I had been burning chronostasises anytime I had to like trek across just walking. I was like, oh, well, let's not make walking count against me. And then I had to wait a bunch.
Must be nice to not need to constantly use Curaga because you're playing on easy mode.
Well, I should have clarified. I was not blasting. I mean, I am always blasting chronostasis at all times in this game. That's how I was running out of time. I meant in Snow's palace. And the reason was because, if you recall, Noel was so fucking hard that I was like, I should save my EP for like using like the special EP like limit break mode, right? So I was conserving. I'm like, I got tons of hours to get through this dungeon. And the thing is, at this point, the game hasn't had like an actual dungeon, like at all. Like the thing with Noel was like running through a little area for 5 seconds, right? I wasn't expecting an actual dungeon with a decent bit of stuff in it. So then I noticed, oh my God, it's 5:50 a.m. Shit, I guess I should start using my chronostasis. So anyway, yeah. What did you do, Bernard? What did you get up to?
I wandered around Yusnan and I started a bunch of side quests and did not finish most of them.
Yeah, 2 big ones at least. You definitely would not have been able to finish at that point. The 2 of the ones that I'm thinking of. Also, I will say there's not a whole ton of side quests in Yusnan right now. Turns out after you finish this chapter, which makes sense because like, spoiler alert, Snow turns back to normal and becomes chill again. The town becomes different, right? As you'd expect. And a lot of side quests open up. I had already done a lot of Yusnan stuff at this point, because again, I've been playing the game a little weird. So I actually was over in the grasslands area doing lots of stuff. But the funny thing is I was having such a good time doing all these fucking side quests and also saving so much time with chronostasis because of the strong enemies there. I was like, oh, this rule is running all over everywhere. And then I got to the point where I really wanted to go to a certain place because I thought it might trigger one of the major game quests. And as I got closer and closer, I realized, oh my God, I have overextended myself. I'm not going to get there. I'm going to have a really hard time getting there by 6. So I turned back, and it turns out if I load my safety save, I'm still like doing the math like, I'm not going to get there. If I run back and then take the train twice, the train will put me there too late. What else can I do? What I ended up doing was I used chronostasis. I ran to the area with the highest EP enemies, fought enemies, tried to do a good job killing enemies faster than I'm using up EP, so I would accumulate EP. Eventually got 3 EP and teleported. I still got to the industrial area for the record at around 6:30, 6:35, 6:40. They did let me in, so just FYI, there is a bit of a window there. I don't know how much. Maybe it's till 7. So if you screw up, first of all, don't be like me. Second of all, if you are, you do not have to be there right at 6. FYI. Cool. So anyway, we arrive at the industrial area, and there's a small crowd gathered, and we show the gatekeeper our ticket, and he's like, okay, well, come on in. We get to the industrial area, and we go through a dungeon. There's lots of platforming and such, and we learn some interesting lore. Turns out there's a fal'Cie here. It's the last fal'Cie in the world. I guess after FF13 1 and 2, people have decided we should still keep fucking with fal'Cies. We're not just gonna. You think it? They'd be like, you know what? We're done with the whole fal'Cie thing. No more of that. Whatever.
Did they say whether this was an artificial fal'Cie or
they didn't? So I'm thinking it's not.
Just a natural fal'Cie that was still around.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
I mean, and given what the fal'Cie does, it could have been one that existed in Cocoon. So, anyway, it's guarded super heavily, so we're not going to go fucked up or anything. Although Lightning seems like she kind of wants. She's like a fal'Cie. Are you kidding me?
For old time's sake.
Yep. Turns out this fal'Cie is the source of the entire world's food supply. Now, I do want to mention that the whole world is literally the 4 areas of this game's world. There is not anything beyond it. Still, it's feeding the whole world and also making other things besides food. We do actually get to see it, but it's far off, so I can't comment on how cool it looks, but it probably looks cool. Every day it manufactures stuff, good food or other goods, and out of seemingly nothing. And then it's distributed. The stuff might, however, says Hope, be made of chaos? They take the evil chaos everywhere, and they process it, and they eat it. Lightning's like, that's probably bad. I don't think you should put that stuff into your body. This is not going to be developed, but you could imagine perhaps that's why the world has been unable to progress. You know, I mean, there's a pretty interesting like philosophical reading there, where the chaos represents various like ideology or whatever. Anyway, we reach the warehouse where all the stuff is kept each day, and Light realizes that centralizing the entire world's logistical network into one location is probably a bad idea. Logistics keeps the world running, says Lightning, definitely in dialogue that's actually in the game. A disruption in the supply chain would be an unimaginable socio-political crisis. Luckily, since everyone likes Snow so much and he's so trustworthy, let's let him be in charge. And it's been fine so far. We reach the warehouse where all of us... I just said that paragraph. As we run across the tracks, we find that there's an enormous chaos reading building in the Augur's Quarter. That makes sense. All the revelers gather there every night, driven by hopelessness, vice, and cynicism. This leads to a giant chaos buildup, but also, still, seems dangerous. Lumina shows up. Oh, also, we do hear on the radio that it's like a more chaos buildup than normal. Something is happening. Lumina shows up and says, yo, shit is about to go down. She says that the sea of chaos is practically part of the show. One day, it's going to swallow everyone up. Snow knows about this, but has just thrown up his arms and given up, waiting for the world to end. As was frankly pretty obvious, Lumina tells us that Snow's been eaten away inside due to his grief and guilt about Sarah. She tells us to go save him, but then she summons a boss, so I don't know what she's wanting from us here. Really mixed signals. So as we beat the boss, any trouble with this guy?
Not really.
Yeah, I was prepared for him to be hard because he looked really big, and the guide was like, this guy might be hard, so do this one neat trick to win, and easy mode, he was super fucking easy.
Yeah. I don't remember a single thing about it. I gotta say, after the shock that was the fucking Knoll fight, this game has yet to really drop anything like that again. Most of the bosses are like, eh, and even a lot of the strong enemies are like, eh. Though, as I'll say at the end of this week, you do need to watch out for the maybe hardest boss in the game and not run into it until you're ready. So anyway,
you say all this, but consider my situation where I'm not good at the game.
Yeah, but you just said you didn't trouble with this guy, though. It is true, though. I mean, the game is actually a get good type beat. So our experiences are going to vary, frankly, a lot more than your average RPG book club game. So anyway, but you'll get good, I think. There's a real rhythm to it that you get ingrained. Anyway, after we beat the boss, she revives it and makes it bigger and stronger, We don't fight it again, though. It just destroys the path that we're on. Light, as she's falling, lightning kills it in a cool cutscene, but now we have fallen down into the warehouse area. We fight through the warehouse zone and find an ID card, which will let us into the Augur's Quarter like the normal way. We also unlock a previously locked door so that we can go hang out in the box dimension anytime we feel like. I'm guessing maybe a side quest asks you to go there, or maybe if you miss a chest, whatever. I have not, but still, good to know. Chapter 3, The Star. We enter the Augur's Quarter only to see another locked door. Even the service entrance to the palace is shut down. The whole palace is locked tight, even to deliveries, and there's an unimaginable chaos reading coming from it. Hope is worried. Did Snow turn into a thief? Hope has a new idea to get in. What if we cause problems on purpose? In other words, make use of the show every night to bust in dramatic fashion. We're gonna blow shit up. Here, Hope explains the plan, but instead of explaining it here, I'll just let y'all find out what happens when it happens, because why explain it twice? So, we gotta do some side quests to get in again. So, first we gotta make a shit ton of fireworks go off during the night of the show. We talk to the show's director, who is a very fun character named Sarzak. We're like, hey, Sarzak, what if you did like 2 or 3 times more fireworks? And Sarzak's like, who the fuck are you? Lightning obviously doesn't tell him who she is, but she does convince Sarzak to make tonight's show extra spicy in order to, I don't know, cheer people up. Or, you know what, the patient's been really depressed lately. He really needs a good show this time. Also, you'll be even more famous if you put on an extra special show tonight. You've been doing the same thing for ages. He says, you know what? Fine, let's do it. Then we talk to the guy in charge of fireworks. He's like, bro, we cannot do that many fireworks. It is dangerous. Light's like, dude, the big man says so. I'm sorry. The fireworks guy bitches about his bossy boss, and Light pretends to commiserate because she's a class traitor. But it really is quite funny. She's like, hey, not my idea, man. The boss is saying you got to do it. Which,
Lightning is really funny in this episode.
Yeah, this whole sequence is quite good, and I wish I could go more into it, but unfortunately it is completely plot irrelevant in the broad sense. And there is enough going on with this game thematically that, we do need to actually dig into that stuff that matters. So I can't spend too much time on all these very colorful characters. We go around and get a bunch of fireworks. There's some subplots here, but I'm skipping them even harder than usual. We get the fireworks. We get the shit. Oh, I will say one thing. Remember last week, the thing where we say meow meow choco chow? So I had already done that in order to get the Miquote costume. It turns out that does also get you fireworks every time you do it. And I had noticed that, but I was like, what are these for? Turns out if you did that, you're already going to have some of the fireworks. So that'll save you some time. There's more quests here than you need to actually do, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I did a bunch because I want my Yggdrasil to be a big healthy boy, and so I wanted the extra.
Oh, I hadn't thought about those being official side quests. Shit, you're right.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought about
that. And so there's a small line of dialogue where you get back and the guy's like, oh, I only needed 10. This is way too many. And she's like, yeah, the boss said you got to have even more. He's like, someone could die. And she's like, don't take it up with me. And then you go to the boss and the boss is like, I told you 10. Someone could die. It's pretty good.
I did get that actually. So I think I must have had a little bit more than I needed.
Yeah, it might just be if you have any more than 10, but yeah. I had all 25.
Yeah. So we finish up and we realize there's another problem. Our plan actually won't work unless we're on the floating stage. In other words, we need to be the star of the show. Again, we convince Sarzak to let us take the job of the probably underpaid and mistreated lead actress. But first, we have to look the part. He asks us to audition, and Lightning just says in the most Lightning voice ever, like something like, I'll give everything to save the world. And he's like, incredible. Wow. It's like the Savior's right here in front of me.
Have you mentioned that the show is about the Savior? And
no, I realized just now that what I just said is the first time I mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's important because it's funny.
So that's the whole thing. So we go, it turns out we go to the battle arena. I forgot to mention it, but there's one more thing in this town. There's a battle arena. I hadn't engaged with it till now because I looked at the rewards you get from it, and I was like, these rewards are pretty mid. Why would I want to do the battle arena where every time you do the battle arena, it takes 10 minutes of game time. But if you lose, it's like always, it takes an hour away. So I'm like, why would I do this? Anyway, here we have to. So we go to the battle arena and win some easy battles. And we get a fucking phenomenal dress, the one that we mentioned earlier that Bernard talked about, the big billowing purple dress. It's beautiful. It's incredible. Also, it's good at fire, which is good because I already had a dress that was really good at fire, that really, like, butch-looking fire magic fit, and this pretty much just replaces that one whole, like totally, completely. Didn't have to change my load up at all. You also learn a cute little thing where the lady who runs the battle tournament, she gives you her dress, and we realize that she used to be the lead of the show, and she talks about like her fond memories of doing that, and it's kind of cool. Again, a lot of nice little characters in this one. We go back to the square to give the audience a show they'll never forget. We talk to Starzak, and he reveals that he's been on to us all along. He knows that our plan is to use the insane amount of fireworks to literally blow up the entire giant statue that forms the center of the stage and use that statue as a bridge to get into the palace. Starzak's like, you dumbass, it definitely would have killed people. But I modified the show and the fireworks some more, so we're still going to blow everything up, but safely. He's like fully bought in at this point to just doing this craziest fucking show ever.
I find it funny how he says he's doing it safely, but then in the cutscene, there's some real close calls.
There's some close calls, yeah. She reveals that she's at this point. She reveals that she is in fact the savior, and she and Starzak have like a bruh moment. It's nice. So the show itself, I was expecting some like cool lore here, but really there's not much to it. Like the plot of the show is not remotely related to the actual plot of the game or the lore. It's like they have the idea of the savior, the rest of it's made up. But at any rate, Lightning is on a cool stage, and she says that she's the savior and she'll give anything to save her people. And then the voice of God is like, hell yeah, lead everyone to salvation. But then she does have one line, the final line she has before everything blows up real good. And she also has a flaming sword here, by the way. She says, I am the true savior. I was made to serve God. Dramatic beat as her music swells. But if that God lies to me, then he dies. Lightning's theme swells to its climax in case we didn't get it. Now, I was curious if this was part of the show or if she was improvising.
Yeah.
I feel like having it like the savior's going to kill God for being a lying little bitch probably is not in the script.
Also, seeing as she says it before dramatically destroying the statue of God.
That too.
So I'm guessing she just thought it would be a cool thing to say.
Which is cool because that means that she's actually expressing herself artistically in the middle of like trying to accomplish a mission. We've talked about this before. Lightning's whole thing in this game is that she's very stoic, even more than usual. She was already a stoic gal, but now she's like, yeah, God made me something different than a human. I don't have human feelings anymore. But we see moments like this where she's expressing herself in these small little ways, like these feelings that we didn't know she had this feeling, that she's not trusting God. Lumina says that she does, but we didn't actually have any evidence of it. It's a cool scene. It's really good. And I'm like, oh, this is why all the transes love this game so much, because they're really into the whole killing God thing. So we get into the palace. So we finally get into the palace because of all the stuff we blew up. And now we have a dungeon. It's a big dungeon. We learned that in order to feed his people with that fal'Cie, Snow actually became a l'Cie. He made a pact with it. This is why we're worried he's going to become a thief. Lightning says that they all used to share that horrible fate, all 6 of them, and that bond is what allowed them to defeat it. But now Snow is facing that alone. At one point, we meet one of Snow's soldiers, but he actually says he wants to help us. He's like, yeah, a lot of us soldiers are actually really worried about our beloved patron and hope that Lightning will save him. He wants to fight with us. Lightning is like, you can't fight with me because we don't have a party in this game. But you can sell us shit. So he does. FYI, if you're thinking to yourself, wow, it seems like this game has a recurring pattern of someone arriving to sell you items right before the boss. Is that going to continue? No, not necessarily. So in the future, please make sure to keep stocked up. And if you have an opportunity to stop by a shop, make sure you take it, because there will be points when you're like, oh my god, I should have bought some items earlier. They're not always going to be this nice, okay? Anyway, he also tells us that Snow told the guards to lock him in the palace and not let him leave. He also said that if he ever were to lose his senses or become a danger to others, they need to kill him. We're like, damn, that's worrying. So we get to a door that is sealed off by ice, which, if you recall, is Snow's whole beat. We realize that Snow is probably behind the door, putting up one final barrier, metaphorically and literally. We explore and eventually find, in like an office or something, Sarah's pendant. Lightning's confused. Why on earth would Snow leave this beloved memento here? Not, keep that thing on him. Lightning takes that back to the icy door, and sure enough, it functions as a magical key and melts the ice.
You gotta have a magic key in a video game.
That's right. This is now officially a video game. We finally confront Snow. He taunts her again. He says he left that pendant so that only Lightning, who would know its importance, could open the door to his heart, also the room. He says he's glad his sister is here. She says, first of all, I'm not your sister, so quit broing at me. He says this is a prison for a monster like me. He opens the door behind him, and there's a crazy fucking amount of chaos. Kind of the same thing as before with Vanille. Those were lost souls, which is not exactly the same as chaos, but also it is. It turns out he's been using up all of his energy, keeping it contained. So I just realized while going through this episode recording just now that what Lumina told us earlier about how he just gave up and didn't give a shit was a lie. He's not in here because he's deeply depressed and just doesn't give a shit anymore, though that is true. He's been in here keeping this enormous power at bay. He could destroy all of it. He could do that any time to take the final step and destroy all of it. But if he does that, it'll use the last of his power and cause him to become a Seath.
Because that's how the whole Seath thing works. That's definitely how it worked in Final Fantasy XIII 1.
Well, yeah. I mean, it could imply that, you become a Seath if you die before completing your focus. So maybe, I think it could easily be like, no, doing this will kill him, which will make him become a Seath. Which does make you wonder what is his focus, but that's not, because it's obviously not that, right? It's not discussed, though. Maybe it's save his people, which he can't do. Anyway, and that's why he couldn't do this until Lightning came in. He's like, only Lightning could kill me after becoming a Seath, so I have to do this so that she'll be here when I do this. He says he's tired of being useless. As we learned last time, he and Noel and some others, for many, many, many years, went around trying to stop the chaos, fix the broken world, but they couldn't. They watched it die. What does that mean? Maybe they watched hope die.
They watched the world die.
That makes sense. I didn't. Yeah, the antecedent wasn't there. Yeah, they watched the world die. Lightning says, you're not trying to do the right thing. You're running away, you little bitch. He says that he swore to keep Sarah happy, but he couldn't even keep her alive. He says this is what he deserves. Both of them know it. He says, do your worst, destroy me. She says, in classic Lightning fashion, she does two things in order. First, she says, I'm not going to kill you, go fuck yourself. And then she engages him into a boss battle. Which I do find quite funny. The game doesn't explain this, but I think it's very obvious intuitively, like, no, we're going into a boss battle not because she's going to kill him, but because she's going to kick his ass.
Yes.
So we kick his ass. Did y'all find trouble with this battle?
Yes. Or wait,
okay.
Is there for some reason my brain isn't working. Is there a second battle against him?
There is, yes.
Okay. I believe that's the one I had trouble with.
Yeah. I didn't. I don't remember. Maybe it took me a few tries, but it definitely was not the Noel fight. It was not even close to the Noel fight. Though it definitely took me some tries.
Ask me again how it went when we get to the actual one.
That's about 1 second.
There were 2 snow fights?
I might be misremembering. Maybe there was just one.
Because I was thinking...
Tell me about it. Well, he does get transformed into a Seath in a second, but maybe you don't actually fight him. It's just a cutscene.
Yeah, it was just a cutscene in mine.
I was thinking, wait, do we fight him after he becomes a Seath? Because my brain wasn't working. So I was like, is there 2 snow fights? And Maddie Grace said yes. So I was like, I guess there is. But you're saying there's not. There's no way to know for sure.
Sorry, I couldn't totally remember. But anyway, tell me about it.
So I think there's only 1 snow fight, now that I think about it. So I got to Snow's door at like 5:30, and I was like, oh, thank God. I met the dude who sells me items outside the boss. I see the ice store up ahead. That's where Snow is. And then it's like, you've got more dungeon. And I'm like, fuck. I use chronostasis. I get the pendant. I come back. It's like 5:50 at this point. Snow fucking owns me. So I have to go through the palace again on the next day because after he owns me, I have to go back to the Ark. And anyway, I ended up... It took me almost 13 minutes to beat Snow. I got a score of 1. And I had no items and no EP left and 336 HP left.
Oof, okay, yeah, well, that's obviously going to make it a lot harder.
What? No, that was my condition at the end of the fight.
Oh, I thought you meant going in.
No,
Right.
If going in, I would die in 1 hit if I had 336 HP.
True.
This is Final Fantasy
Or you
XIII,
would
remember?
Do a really good job charging and then use your meta guard to get back up to full. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yes, so it was real rough for me.
Yeah, it was medium rough for me. It was not nearly the took me 4 tries that Noel was, but I think I used 2 Phoenix Downs because I'm on easy. I don't use any healing items besides Phoenix Downs, and those are just the I wasn't paying attention and I got hit by a big old thing protection. And so I instead of counting on how many tries, I count how many Phoenix Downs I end up having to use, and I think I had to use 3 for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it if I recall, he has this thing where when you stagger him, you can stagger him using physical or magic, and whichever way you stagger him, he gains a super duper weakness to the opposite thing, which is interesting. Yeah, he also does have 2 pretty different phases, which maybe was why I thought it was 2 bosses and forgot.
It does change the boss music.
Yeah. He also does counters, which is really good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got these counters. This is sort of teaching you, which I think the constant lesson I always have to learn in this game is that even though you can attack as quickly as you want and it plays like an action game, you cannot actually be maximally aggressive because then you will have no EP. I mean, sorry, no ATB points, right? Getting totally drained of ATB is a big problem. So there is a psychological rhythm you have to understand where just because you hit a guy a couple times, and even if they're in the air, like when you see that stagger meter vibrating, you're like, oh, I gotta keep hitting them, but you gotta learn not to. And the fact that this guy does like counters and stuff, even more punches in that concept, right? Yeah. So anyway, so we beat the damn guy, and afterward. The chaos disappears. And at this point, he's turned even more into a Seath. He's like, the Seathness is totally consuming his body. And he's like on the ground, like breathing in a really heavy way that's like upsetting sounding. All right. So Lumina arrives and she says that he was sacrificing himself all along to keep the city safe. And its only reward was to turn into a monster. It's not even Snow anymore. The only hope for his soul lies in death. Lumina muses, wondering, what if Snow became a Seath on purpose? Not just as a side effect of his sacrifice for the city, but on purpose in order so that Lightning would be forced to kill him. So, at first it was like, does he have a fucking death wish? And then later it was like, oh no, he's doing the ultimate sacrifice. He feels like he has to do this. Lumina suggests maybe it's both. Combination heroic sacrifice, assisted suicide. Anyway, Lightning is mad. She's so mad. Maybe the maddest I've ever seen her. She's mad at Lumina. She's mad at Snow. She does what she knows best. She punches the fuck out of him. She just keeps punching him with her fists. It's a very good scene. She's got a lot of emotions happening right now. And she's not punching him with good punches. She's just beating on his chest in impotent rage, basically. She gets a few good slugs in there too. Lumina taunts us. She says, how can you possibly claim to understand Snow or have any kind of empathy for him? He's been doing this for 500 years. He eventually gave up. He's been sitting here keeping this chaos at bay for not 500 years, but for a long time. She doesn't say how much. And it was all alone. You literally were just in a crystal. You were just sitting there doing nothing this whole time while he was sitting there bearing the weight of the world on his shoulders, basically. She says that he drew on every last bit of strength and threw himself into the darkness. Set him free already. That's what Sarah would want. Lightning has to admit here, she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know how to set him free. She says that Sarah would have known, but Sarah's not here. Suddenly, Seath Snow gets back up. He roars and punches Lightning down to the ground. He advances at her, but she sees and grabs the pendant. She again pleads, and then she hugs him. She actually hugs him and cries. She says that she will kill him. Not in anger. She's like, fine, I'll kill you. I love you, and you've asked me to kill you. I will. But I don't want to. She begs him one last time to change his mind, basically, before she does the thing that she's going to do. Sarah believed in him, and she still believes in him. Lightning says that she needs him to bring Sarah back, and she begs him with all her heart. The music stops, and Snow falls to the floor. He cracks a joke. He's like, and here I thought you actually cared about me. And as soon as he says that, you're like, oh, thank God. He's back to normal Snow. He says, like, you cared about me. Here I thought you wanted to save me, because you love me, but you just want me back so that, so that you can save Sarah. I see how it is. And then Lightning says a real good line. She goes, sorry. He goes, you saved me because you wanted to save Sarah. I thought it was just because of my, my charm and my being a fun guy to be around and my good looks. And Lightning goes, yeah, right. With that hair. Which is A, a great zinger from Lightning, and B, what we were all thinking.
Yes.
He's become progressively stupider looking throughout the series. That's it. There's a little bit of denouement wrap up, but not much really. Snow's gonna go back to being the patron, but do a good job this time. He has some anime words to himself like, I will save you, Sarah, or whatever. But then we leave and we go back to the arc.
I see what confused me. When you fight Snow, he is already part Seath. You had not mentioned that. You were like, she shows up, he might become a Seath, they fight.
Yep,
so I was thinking, wait, do they fight before he becomes a Seath?
It's so because I didn't notice he was part Seath at the time.
I didn't either.
I didn't notice. And he becomes more Seathy later.
A Seath arm. He does become more Seathy later.
Look, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to notice stuff about the game that you're playing because you're too busy focusing on attack timing.
Fun fact: if you don't fight him until day 10, he is much more Seath and apparently a lot harder. Yeah,
I was looking at the walkthrough, being like, of all the bad guys that you want to make sure to fight in before they get stronger, he's one of the main ones. He gets a lot harder. So anyway, back in the arc, Lumina fucking shows up again. There's not really much here. Sometimes she just shows up to taunt you, and after the 10th time, it stops being dramatic and mysterious, and it's more just like, here she is to say some shit. But this is a little bit interesting. She says that Light was lying when Lightning said this. It's what Sarah would have wanted. She's like, how could you know what Sarah would have wanted? You can't just, you'll say she wanted anything as long as it gets the person to do what you want them to do. And Lightning's like, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, didn't you tell me to save Snow? What? And Lumina says something like, oh, I'm not a normal person, I'm not a human, I don't follow normal rules. She says,
I'm not like other girls.
Yeah, she says I'm the goddamn Joker, and I do, I do what I want.
I do bad things.
Anyway, then Lumina does drop a hot bomb. She's like, Sarah's not dead. And Lightning's like, yeah, I know. And Sarah's like, no. Lumina is like, no, I don't mean like she lives on inside your heart or whatever. I mean, she's not dead. And Lightning's like, typical. And then Lumina goes on and says that like Lightning is clinging on to some bullshit, because she's actually a coward. And that Lightning's actually weaker than she thought. And then she said, aren't you, sis? And then she disappears, which is very mysterious. I mean, again, we've been seeing there's some kind of light Lumina Sarah thing, and here the game is reconfirming it. So, still don't know what's going on, but they're definitely teasing us with it in an increasing degree. But we don't learn any more because that is it for the week.
Well, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So I have not actually seen this scene because I completed the Snow plotline on the next day, and I haven't finished that day. However, when I went back to the Ark after my failed attempt to fight Snow, there was a weird scene where Lightning suddenly sees Sarah in front of her. I forget if
we talked about that last time, but you had
did. We did. Oh, well, I don't remember that.
I don't remember that. Rehash it for me.
No, I'm thinking of when Sarah's face briefly appears superimposed over Lumina's in like an earlier Lumina scene.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was saying different words that mean different things than that.
Okay, well, I wasn't thinking. Okay, saying Sarah appears in front of him isn't that different, Bernard. Anyway, I don't think I've seen that scene.
Anyway, well, it's a very short and weird scene. Sarah appears in front of her. I forget if she says anything, and then she disappears. This is all while Lightning is on the Ark, not in Chaos Dimension. And then Lightning has some inner monologue about how God is dangling the carrot in front of her, teasing her, sort of. But weirdly, she doesn't feel angry about it.
Whack.
And also when she saw Sarah, she didn't feel a bunch of joy and hope well up within her.
Yeah.
She just saw her and was normal.
She was like, okay, this is normal to me. I'll talk more details later, but next time we're actually going to head to the Dead Dunes. We're going to head to the Dead Dunes and do quest, I believe it's technically quest 4. Okay, we did 1 and 2. Now we're doing 4. There are reasons for this. Now feel free to hang out in the Wildlands. It's a great place. Lots of I think it has the most side quests in the game. At least it seems to, from my experience. Also, the enemies in the Dead Dunes are harder than the ones in the Wildlands, but seriously, not much. I don't think it matters. Okay, you'll be fine. But yeah, so narratively, Lightning is about to head to the Dead Dunes to see what's going on there, and presumably find out what other character from the Final Fantasy XIII trilogy is at the center of the next subplot.
I mean, there are 5 main plot lines, and there's 5 other characters, and the first one technically was focused on Noel, but was also Vanille was there. So
the fact that it's focused on Noel makes me be like, is it going to be the other 6 characters or other 5 characters, or is it just going to be 5 of the slightly broader universe of characters? But we'll find out. I mean, I kind of know the answer, but not the full answer, so we'll find out.
Cool. So let's listen to some Final Fantasy XIII 3 music and then talk about our memorable moments and side quests.
So, Maddie Grace stole some of my memorable moments in the main plot, which is what you get to do when you're doing the recap.
Yep. And to be clear, and let me give you my philosophy here. Y'all can have y'all's own philosophy. My philosophy is I generally try to only use verbatim quotes when I think they are thematically relevant. Now, unfortunately, thematically relevant quotes oftentimes are also fucking bangers of lines. So, there you go. But if a line's really good but doesn't actually matter to the narrative or themes, I will leave it out.
Yes, I do want to read one full line that I found very funny. Maddie Grace mentioned this, but when the guard first sees you, Lightning is like, "Oh no, you've seen through my elaborate disguise. Yes, I'm the savior, here to steal the soul from your precious patron." And she says it really dryly, which unfortunately I can't do, I realized, while doing a Solid Snake impression. Because Solid Snake's whole thing is he talks with weird inflections. D. Then there was also another one where during the fireworks quest line, you meet this guy who's like, "Oh man, I have this dream. I want to build a fireworks stand and sell fireworks." And he just goes on about his dream for a while. And Lightning says, "Well, that was a lot more information than I needed to know. I am in the market for some fireworks, though. What can you give me?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't actually have any fireworks. A monster stole them." And Lightning's like, "God damn it." So you go and you fight a monster and you get 5 fireworks from it. And then it's like the UI or something tells you, you can keep them or you can return them. What will you do? So I decided to return them because there's fireworks fucking everywhere. And so I returned them, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go set up my fireworks stand." And he runs off. So I follow him to see what's up, and also because I hadn't got a soul juice yet. And so eventually he runs into, I believe it's the food area, and he has his little stall. And you go up and talk to him. And he's like, "Hey, thanks for allowing me to follow my dream. Here's 7 fireworks." And I'm like, "Where did you get the other 2? And Lightning's literally like, "But I just gave you your fireworks. How can you have fireworks to give back to me?" But he's like, "What's a grand opening without some giveaways?" It's all very silly.
That is quite silly.
And also, the subtitles have, "Well, that was a lot more information than I needed to know," all on one line. So I've cropped it to be a good reaction image.
It's a good reaction image.
And also, there was one guy you can get fireworks from who is drunk and handling explosives, which is great. And you're like, "Hey, can I get some fireworks? The boss said, give me some fireworks." And he's like, "No, I'll only give you fireworks if you get me this special alcohol called Bacchus's Brew, because Greek and or Roman mythology exists in this world."
It's also a recurring Final Fantasy item.
Oh, I don't think I'd noticed that.
Yeah, so they're actually referencing the Final Fantasy franchise.
I see.
And when they play the Final Fantasy franchise, they're like, "What's Bacchus's Brew? That's not a mythology that exists in our culture." Guess they made it up.
So you go and get it, you bring it back, you give it to him, you get his soul juice. And there's this whole thing about the fireworks he gives you were made to be special fireworks for the sick boy, but the boy died, and the drinking will help him forget and stuff. And I'm like, this is not a good way to get someone's soul juice. This is giving an alcoholic a fancy drink that is really good at making you forget your pain. Is not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read it as you get the soul juice not from enabling his alcoholism, but from the conversation afterwards where he tells you about the little boy, and Lightning is like, "Well, you you did a good job. These are super high quality. I can tell they were made for love. Here, you keep one and set it off for him. And he goes, I will. Maybe he'll see it somewhere. And if he doesn't, then I'll just drink all my pain away. And it ends on a joke, but I feel you get the benevolence from the telling him that he did a good job and he kept his promise to the little boy.
That's fair, but I do think also he is going to drink the box's brew.
Oh, absolutely.
And you have enabled him.
Look, all you have to do is save their soul at the end of the day, so you don't have to save their body beforehand.
I mean, it is like the owner of CD's owner, which it's funny that he's called CD's owner, not CD. But it's like he says, people are health conscious these days, which is ironic considering the times.
Mm-hmm.
So no reason we need to worry about his alcoholism. It's going to be gone.
It's the times.
It's going to be gone in 10 days later.
That's what I say whenever I'm drinking myself into a super. I'm like, buddy, it's the times. Gestures vaguely. I will say, Sam actually hit the nail on the head, which is a recurring thing in this game is a lot of the time saving someone's soul isn't really doing a quest or getting a thing. It often is just Lightning, like, giving some encouragement or advice to someone. It's her just being like, I think you should go for it, chase your dreams, or saying, I think you're a good person and did the best you could. And, like, a lot of the time that's actually all it is. It's, I mean, this game has some funny ideas about what does or does not constitute saving someone's soul enough to get their benevolence, but, yeah, that is a recurring thing. It's not out of nowhere. But yeah, that quest does signify one of this game's main things, which is, man, it sure bounces around a lot tonally. Yes. Even more than the previous game. It's like, it'll go from, I think its baseline is like, again, like just a realist tone. Like, you're running around real places with people bustling in their lives. Like, it has this lived-in, realist sort of, hang out and experience the world kind of vibe. But then sometimes it delves into high fucking anime drama and sometimes very, very, very well and effectively. And then other times it's just fucking stupid as shit. And then sometimes it'll try to drop this mega pathos on you in these side quests, and it usually doesn't work. You're like, I've met this guy for 2 seconds. I'm not invested in his feelings. This isn't Dragon Quest VII, sorry. Or 6, or 8, or 11, or 5.
It in fact, it's not a Dragon Quest game at all.
Exactly.
It's a Final Fantasy game.
It takes a high level of writing to make you care about someone that you met 3 lines of dialogue ago and tell this little micro story that really gets at you. And this game isn't quite at that level, I think. Although some of them are quite good. But I mostly find the side quests, the good ones, to be the ones that are more like humorous and silly, not the ones that try to make you feel things.
Yeah.
I have a couple that I really liked. So there's 2 that are basically nothing side quests in Chicago. One of them is the locked treasure chest quest that I'm guessing is going to be in every area because it's been in both of them so far.
Oh, there's one in this town too? Huh, I didn't get it.
There's a little boy that is playing Sarah's theme from Final Fantasy XIII too. And you walk up and you're like, what the fuck, where did you learn that? And he's like, Lumina, obviously. And Lightning's like, well, play the rest. And he goes, Lumina said you would play the rest, so you have to do this quest first. And you're like, well, fine. And you go and get all the things, and you come back, and he plays you Sarah's theme on the trumpet, and Lightning just listens to it because she misses her sister, and that's pretty good. And then there's a nearly identical quest called Songless Diva right up the road. Same basic thing. There's a singer who is who wants us to chase down her lover named Birdie because he abandoned her. So when you go to him, he lost his most recent song. He wrote it down in his notebook. He doesn't remember it, and he lost the notebook. So we have to go kill some monsters, get the book from him, and bring it back. So we bring it back. He's like, oh, awesome. And Lightning asks a question like, how do you even write music or something like that? And he goes, oh, I'm not really talented. I'm just Lucky, and every time I'm talking to Olga, the songs come to me by the end of our conversation. She's like, oh, that's cool, I guess. He's like, okay, so I'm going to go talk to Olga now. So he walks over and she's like, where the fuck you been, you stupid piece of shit? And you hear her like beating the shit out of him, and you're like, what the fuck? And you go back and he's knocked out on the ground with a smile on his face. He goes, this is how it happens every time. I love Olga. She's the best. I have so many songs to write about her beauty. And she specifically when you're at part of the quest, when you're trying to get this stuff back, she goes, you have to bring him back, and if you don't, I'll hunt you down, tear your hair out, and claw out your eyes. Do I make myself clear? She's a lot. I really like her. But then at the end of it, she's like, okay, well, since you did all this for me and you brought Birdie back, I'm going to sing a song for you. And she sings the vocal version of Sarah's theme from Final Fantasy XIII too, and
Nice.
It's really cool.
Also,
awesome. I need to do that one.
Also, fun fact, it says Birdie has written over 300 songs, if I recall correctly, for Olga. And Lightning's like, what the fuck? And Hope's like, yeah, it's been 500 years. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure there are some like Japanese idol producers who have written that many songs just like in the 90s alone.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta say, my two responses to that are, one, buddy, she's not giving you inspiration for songs. She's just giving you trauma, which makes you a good artist.
Yeah.
Just like everyone else. And the second thing is, damn, I love Phantom Thread 2018.
But,
I've not seen that. I
It's
probably
not the
will
most
someday.
direct relation, and don't cancel me for saying that it's exactly the same as that movie, but it's close enough.
You talking about how, it's been 500 years reminded me of this other one that I did. Well, I'm thinking of two different ones. One of them, there was a bit where you talk to a kid and everyone's treating the kid like a kid. It's the pickpocket one. I remember now. And they're like, oh, this stupid little kid. And it's like, it's not a little kid. That is a 500-year-old man. Like, just because people stopped aging doesn't mean they stopped living. So treat him with some respect and treat him like a grown-up, because he's 500 fucking years old like everybody else. And the guy's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But the other one I did was back in Manchester. The in the Warrens, there's a dude that's like drunk out of his mind, and you go to talk to him and he's like, I'm trying to find my wife. She disappeared a couple years ago. There are only 4 towns. It should not be this hard for me to find her, but I can't fucking find her anywhere. We have matching engagement rings. Please help me find her. The last place I saw her was in Chicago. So while you're in Chicago, you go to this restaurant and you're like, hey, I'm looking for this girl. She was last seen like over here. She had a ring like this. Do you recognize this ring? And the guy's like, yeah, there was this really old lady that had a ring just like that. She used to work here. And Lightning's like, oh shit. Not only did his wife leave him, she pawned off the ring and somebody else got it. That
Oops.
sucks. But it's trail's the dead end, so I guess I'll go back and tell him. So you go back to tell him, and there's a girl there, and the girl's like, oh, like, is that so and so's ring, like Palutena or whatever the fuck her name was? And and you're like, yeah. And she's like, okay, meet me in the graveyard. I have to talk to you. And so you go there, and apparently something happened 50-ish years ago where Palutena started aging when nobody else did. They're not really sure what happened, if she got like hit with chaos or whatever, but she started aging, and so she was like ashamed. So she like went into hiding because she wasn't going to be young and beautiful with Lackley forever. And she's like, yeah, so she died a couple of years ago of old age. The only person to have done that in 500 years, and it's kind of fucked up. But she loved him till the end. She just was ashamed. And of course, Lackley had followed you to the graveyard, and he was like, "That's bullshit. I would have loved her no matter what she looked like. It was her soul I was in love with, not her, not her looks." Yada 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 yada. And he's like, "Lightning, thank you for doing this. You've given me hope." And she's like, "What?" And he goes, "Not hope that I'll see her again. Not any like false hope like that. But you've given me like the ability to move on. And I had been stuck, and I had been drinking my life away, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want wherever she is to looking down on me, she sees someone worthy of her love. And so I'm going to pick myself up, and I'm going to live out however long I have left trying to be the person that she fell in love with and not the person I became." And it was sweet, and I liked it.
That is neat. Also, I gotta say, it shouldn't be a mystery why she was old. She was probably just hanging out in the dead dunes on the beach.
God damn it.
The one that makes you old.
That makes you old.
I mean, people don't age, but if they don't wear sun protection. So you mentioned the kid being 500 years old. One thing that has been sort of like weirding me out about this game is thinking about like, you know, a 5-year-old kid, like their brain isn't fully developed. So like, what are they going to be like with 500 years experience, but a 5-year-old's brain? And then I started just thinking about fucked up things. And I was like, oh my God, what if he had a newborn baby right when this happened? And he had to take care of it for 500 years and it never got older.
Well, I'm glad it doesn't
that would be
appear
so
in the game,
weird.
because that would really suck. I do not want to explore that concept.
But also, like, babies are born constantly. Statistically, there should be a bunch of newborn babies, and we see none of them. And that is a dark story of something that happened like 499 years ago.
Oof. Yeah, and they don't talk about it. Thank God, because I don't want to know about it.
I don't want to know about it.
Let's see. I have a little bit, some more side questy stuff, also from Yusnan. I'm surprised that neither of y'all mentioned this one, because I like them a lot. When you're outside of these are the two side quests that you wouldn't have been able to beat yet, but you could start them. One of them is well, I guess I should whatever. I haven't finished it, but I bet the solution is going to be boring. So, one of them is you find this person who's got like a crystal ball, and they have like a person who speaks for them, and they're like, "Oh, I'm speaking for the theorists or whatever, right? The diviner." And he's like, "Yeah, she's got an eye that can see the future. You should do what we say, because we can see the future. And we knew you were going to come, and you should do what we tell you to follow your true path as the savior." And Lightning's just like, "Fuck off! I don't believe in that noise." I mean, it definitely is a thing that has happened in the series, but I don't believe what you're saying. Well, no, actually, she's not like, "I don't believe in telling the future." She's like, "I don't believe in that shit anymore. I no longer subscribe to prophecies and such things." So they tell her, "Oh, the prophecy says that you're going to meet us again tomorrow at noon." And again, she's like, "Okay, see, here's the thing. You just want me to come back here tomorrow. Like, you just want me to come back here to find out what's going to happen. And then when I do, you'll be like, haha, we were right, because of the oracle." And they're like, "No, it's a prophecy." So she leaves, and she talks with Hope and pretty much says the same thing. And she's like, "Ugh, I got to go back there tomorrow and see what's up." And Hope's like, "Lightning, you can just not. You can just, like, they're literally making, you just explained how you're aware that it's a trap. Like, you're fulfilling the prophecy." And she's like, "Yeah, but I need to tell those guys to go fuck themselves tomorrow at noon." So Hope's really annoyed. So they go back to the next day at noon, and they're like, "Haha, as we predicted, you're going to be here." So then they say, "We have a new prophecy in which you collect 3 desert flame gems and bring them to us. Here's how to get them." And once again, she leaves, and then she talks to Hope, and she's like, Okay, they just need someone to go get the 3 flames. They just need me to go get them to do them a fucking fetch quest, and they're using this prophecy thing so that I'll do it to find out what'll happen when I do it. And Hope's like, yes, exactly. And she's like, I'm gonna go do it. Oh shit, you gotta go in just a second. Yeah, okay, we'll wrap this up. Anyway, final thing is that they're like, haha, you did it. Now we have a prophecy that you're going to kill every single niblet in the entire city and then defeat the last one. And it's the exact same thing. She's like, fuck you, okay. So we have to defeat the last one. I don't think we talked about this last time, but if you there is a limited number of every monster in the entire game, and if you kill enough of them, aka literally all of them, you get a stronger version of it, and then they are extinct, and you never see them again. It's cool. I have now killed a couple of them. It kind of happens naturally, but not the niblets one. Cool. That's it. Let's wrap up so that Sam can go do things.
Cool. So if you like what you heard today and you want to check out our back catalog, help us keep the lights on, etc., you can head over to rpgbook.club, where we'll have links to all of our socials, and you can donate to help us offset hosting costs and game costs. We are close to breaking even on all of our current things, but not quite. So if you want me to stop having to pay money to keep this going, that's where you can go. Every donation unlocks more of these shortcast and longcast episodes. We are 42% of the way to unlocking Metal Gear Solid, which Maddie will probably not shut up about all things Metal Gear, so it'll be a very good episode or two. So definitely go and donate for that. We have donation tiers nowadays, so everyone who donates any amount will get access to our Book Club No Kaseki episodes a month before everyone else, polls for our main series episode to say what we're going to play next, as well as getting a special role in the Discord. If you up your donation to $5 a month minimum, we read off your names just like this. Shoutouts to Cerebral Wind, Anthony Lerma, Vimk, Jfro Prime, Eli Bergmas, Doho, and Tuxedo Ken. And then if you're really cool, like our friend Carr, you will donate $20 or more per month. And that will get you not only your name read, but also a 2-sentence shout out of your choosing. Carr is a dentist, and he's tired of seeing all of us at his dentist's office. So he wants us to brush our teeth twice a day. Most importantly, the time right before you go to bed. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
I'm Maddie Gritz Webben. Let's all go hang out on the beach that makes us old.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.